fundamentally. And I just want to throw this slide up here as far as what really exists today and kind of what's getting added later on. But today, at a high level, and also keep in mind, if you would like this presentation, happy to send it to anybody. You just need to send us an email, either info@websyn.com or myself after the webinar, and happy to send you this. But here's the modules that are available. I'm not going to go through this in tremendous detail, but fundamentally, there is a financial module, obviously a GL, AR, AP, the ability to budget. There's a bank rec. There is a cash flow forecasting module. There's the ability to transfer and pay vendors electronically. There's obviously the ability to write checks and a fixed asset module. On the inventory side, there is an inventory module. One of the things that's missing just now, but probably will be resolved in the spring, is lot tracing and serial tracking. So that's not available today, but will be coming in the spring time frame. From a sales perspective, and that's really from a demo perspective today, kind of what I'm going to walk you through, but there's what you would expect: quotes and sales orders, pricing, discounting. There's also a bit of CRM in here, and there is actually a full-blown integration to CRM right out of the box, or as we call it, Dynamics 365 for sales. There's a PO module, the ability to have vendors and process POs. There's a jobs module or project management module. And there's also a ton of workflows and other things that are there. And you'll see, for those of you familiar with NAV, it does look like NAV today, sort of from a web perspective, but it is definitely not NAV. It's built on a different platform called the Common Data Model, which it will share with CRM and other applications. And it's really a foundation for things that Microsoft is adding to this suite in the future. And they are adding quite a bit of functionality pretty much every month. So it's a great little system at a reasonable price point, and we'll show you what it is today. So what I want to walk you through, we're going to do an overview, and really one of the big differences between this system and the others that we particularly sell, being NAV and Dynamics GP, is this is really meant to be self-implemented. You'll see, and I'll show you a little wizard that's set up to import data and set the taxes and things like that. That we offer services to help clients set this up as well, but it's really more on sort of a QuickBooks level of system. So really meant for you guys as customers to kind of set it up yourselves and get off and running. And that's really what we've seen so far with the few customers that are live on it so far, is they've been pretty able to implement it and use it themselves. So we'll give you a high-level tour, take you through really how it integrates with Exchange and Office 365. And I think you'll find this very unique in that it allows you to literally create quotes right out of your Exchange Online, email them, get at financial information right from your Outlook. So you don't even have to get out of your email system to be able to send quotes and orders and invoices, look at inventory levels. So some really, really neat functionality there. We'll talk about how to obtain a free trial, and we'll talk a little bit about pricing, how much it costs, and kind of the licensing around it as well. Okay, and as usual, welcome questions at any point if you'd like. Please feel free, and we'll just jump right in here. So here is Dynamics 365 Financials, and like I mentioned, if any of you are familiar with NAV out there, this will look vaguely familiar. You've really got up at in the home page, you've got this concept called a role center. And you can see here, I'm in Cronus, which is our little sample company. I'm just going to close that off. Cronus US, and my role right now is what's called a business manager. And what you see on your home screen as an end user varies by the role that your particular user is assigned. And I'll just list off kind of a few of these. There's an accountant, the business manager, which I'm in, which really is a combination of sales, finance, and purchasing. You've got an order processor, which is really just a salesperson to process quotes and orders and things like that. A project manager that's really just looking at the jobs module. A sales and relationship manager, now you're really into opportunities and leads and things like more CRM type things. A security administrator, and then there's a new role and license called a team member, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But really what that role is defines what you see on your home screen. So if I switch to a order processor role, I'm really only going to see things related to sales. If I switch to an accountant, I'm going to only see things related to financials. As a business manager, I've kind of got a combination of a few things. I've got widgets on here that give me sort of at a glance what my sales were this month, any overdue amounts for purchases, overdue amounts for sales, and then also incoming documents as well. I've got, from a self-service standpoint, if I'm using the jobs module, timesheets and things like that. I've got a quick view of my trial balance and financial information. I've also got embedded Power BI, which I've not turned on yet in this little demo environment. But Power BI, for those of you that aren't familiar, is a business intelligence suite that can be added to your Office 365 licenses and really gives you some in-depth graphical views into your data. And we're not going to cover that today, but probably in a future webinar. The other thing we've got is these graphs and charts, which I can actually just scroll through different ones that are available kind of out of the box. This is a quick little pie chart, and then as I switch them, it'll go to others, cash cycle view by month, and there are various other ones that we can move along, and I can change the time frames, I can drill down on data, and do other things like that. So this is just kind of a view of a quick little balance sheet. Okay, I've got my favorite GL accounts just to show as an example what my balance is in my checking account, and any timed reports, because I can schedule reports to be sent out as well. Now, a couple cool things you can do with these widgets. If we look to customize these things called cues, really, I can set the parameters by which I want these colors to change. So whether they're yellow, green, or red, I can set all those thresholds and parameters to really give me a quick view of my business kind of at a glance. And if I drill into these things as an example, it's going to take me right into any of these quotes that are sort of pending here, as well as any sales orders. If I want to take a look at sales that are overdue, it's going to give me a view of overdue invoices, who they're from, what the amount is, etc. And again, kind of everything's at a glance. If I want to, I can drill into any of these and see the detail, what's on those invoices, etc., and get at that information. Okay. There's also a mobile app for the whole thing as well, and as I mentioned, which will show kind of how it integrates to Office 365. If let's just take a look at a little simple example here. So I'm going to drill into, say, invoices that have been posted here, and we're going to just drill into maybe one of these little guys that have been posted. And let's just take a look at some of the details. Actually, sorry, this one hasn't been posted. Let me just take a look back at one of the others that has. My apologies. But we're going to go look at actually sales that have been processed, and we got a couple little of those. And when I take a look then at the details behind this, what you'll see is I've got GL entries, tax entries, etc., but I can actually drill right down into the posted GL entries. So you can actually see all the detail. This is a revenue account. These are other little product lines and tax lines, etc., cost of sales, inventory, etc., that have been posted again. So it's obviously integrating to the general ledger in the background because it is fundamentally an accounting package, right? So, but a very easy to use, quite frankly, accounting package. Now, another couple things you'll notice is if I just click into my customer list here, and we'll go to Clovo Winery, which is the one we'll use in the demo later on, you get really at a glance kind of information here. So how many orders are outstanding, how many sales. That's not a picture of me, by the way. That's just the default kind of Microsoft picture that's there. But I can see what my sales are. I can see my balance. I can drill into that. So really easy to get at information from various places in the system. And again, I can control, obviously, what GL postings take place, their payment terms, shipping specifics, and of course I can look at any stats as far as how much they've paid us, what we've sold, etc. Now, this is a general tour, so we're not going to really dive into any particular area in depth, but wanted to give you, again, just kind of a sense of what's available. So we've got the role center, which, like I said, you really will fundamentally change based on the role that you assign to a particular user. Then we get into kind of the individual modules here. So let's just drill in and take a look really at finance. When we get into finance, what you're going to see is different sort of financial transactions that you can post. Let's let that refresh real quick. Should only take a second. There we go. So general journals, what's the chart of accounts? You can actually see that here. And the system actually comes with a setup of a default kind of chart of accounts, whether you're in Canada or whether you're in the US. This is a US-based demo environment, so it's just set up sort of for default US codes. You can set up account schedules, cash receipts, things like that. When we go into sales, we then take a look at all the different options, so quotes, orders, invoices, credit memos, typical stuff that you would think about. We look at purchasing. We've got purchase orders and invoices, credit memos, etc. When we go to approvals, then we've also got pending approvals for workflow. And if I take a look, there's this little search icon over here, and if I look for the word workflow, and I go to workflow templates, what you'll see is these are all the different templates available to you to build workflows. So as an example, if I want to initiate or use PO approvals, because I don't want my people just to cut POs, I can simply use this template and build additional workflow steps or build the approval hierarchies and assign them to users, etc. So a lot of really great kind of out-of-the-box functionality to set up workflows. You'll see I've got quote approvals as well. Those are probably the two most popular ones, quotes and POs. Credit limit changes. You can build your own as well, but these are kind of the out-of-the-box workflow templates that come with the system. If we take a look then at advanced finance, we've got the ability to do cash flow forecasts and things like that. We've also got self-service as the ability to create just look at, advanced finance, we have budgets and things like that. And then self-service, I can put in timesheets and other things. The last thing I want to show really from an overview perspective before we dive too deep into the system is there's a wizard, as I mentioned kind of in the intro. This system is really built to be very simple, to kind of build upon itself. But in the beginning, if you're just looking to set up the system, and like I said, we really kind of rely on our customers to do that out of the gate. You'll see here once the screen comes up, it literally walks you through how to convert data in and how to set up everything right out of the box. So literally you just walk through all these steps. So there's a step for migrating your business data. It'll give you an Excel template for customers and vendors and items that you import. You then set up your company configuration and taxes and where your company is based, etc. Cash flow forecast, approval workflows, emails. Now I've done Outlook for Financials, which is I'm gonna show you how this all integrates to really Outlook Online. As I mentioned earlier, it integrates seamlessly to CRM, and that's there too, and then also sales taxes, obviously, which are important. So really how it's meant to be is that you kind of run through this wizard step by step, and that sets up your entire system. As I mentioned early on, we offer consulting services as well, but for the most part, our clients have been pretty good at just setting up the system and getting up and running, and it might take you an hour or two. The biggest issue or the biggest challenge is just kind of getting your data cleaned up and in the format that's appropriate for that data load. So, like I said, a fairly straightforward way to set up the system. So now I want to show you some really neat functionality on what Microsoft has done with its integration to Outlook Online. And what I've got here, I emailed Spencer, is my sales guy, who's my little demo user, and I want to order a London swivel chair and an Antwerp conference table from my demo company. And what you'll notice here in my Outlook Online, there's this little button for financials. And if I go ahead and click on that, what it's actually going to do, because it's single sign-on and it's all in Microsoft's cloud, it's going to launch my Dynamics 365 for financials right in this window. And what you'll notice too is because I've linked Andrew King and my email address to the Coho Winery, what immediately pops up right within my Outlook is information on that customer. And if you recall, when I was in this record earlier, that $888.17, you can tell I can drill down on that and actually see the detailed balance for this customer, and that invoice is open. So if a customer literally emails me and just simply says, hey, what's my open balance? Right from that email, the system's going to realize who that person is, and I can drill right in and see that. Here's a little aged AR, and I can look at by day, by month, etc. I've got my ongoing quotes and invoices, and just like if I were in the full-blown ERP system, I can drill down into that. Now, keep in mind, I'm in my email. You can also see just over here on this other tab is the system itself. So very quick, obviously, to jump between them, but you'll notice you'll get quite a bit of efficiency just doing all these things right from an email. So more to the point, let's go ahead and cut that quote now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create right from here a sales quote. So what the system's going to do is just simply generate the header level information from that quote and give me the customer info. And now I've got his email right there, so I'm going to type in London Swivel, and the system's going to figure out what the heck that is and say he wants 7 of those, so that's fine. And it's going to go ahead and enter that line. And I'm going to order the Antwerp conference table as well. Oops, got to spell it right, but let's do that. And I'm not even going to spell the whole thing. I'm just going to let it try to figure it out. And he wanted 2 of those. Now, the first question that anybody is going to ask is, well, do we have enough of these in inventory to actually place this order? So the first thing I might want to do is just simply check that. And once I'm clicked on the line, I can just hit details, and the system says, hey, you need 7. I've got 100 available, so we're good to go. On that line, I can click on the second one, hit details, and see that I've got more than enough stock as well. And keep in mind, I've not left my email system yet. I'm just doing this all in Outlook. So then that's really all I need to put in here. The last thing I'm going to do is simply send that quote off by email. And so it's going to process that as well. Now it also knows who requested this quote. It's put my contact information there. If there were multiple people in the company that I wanted to generate the quote for, I could do that. And here it comes. So there we go. So there's the email with the quote, and we're going to go ahead and just send that. Now I can obviously edit this information. It's giving kind of some high-level templates, and again, we can edit these templates as well to be a little more user-friendly, but this is just simply saying, here's your quote, and then I can hit send. And that's leaving now my email to get sent out to that particular customer. So now I'm just going to wait a little bit on my side in my email to get that email in real life, so to speak. But let's just take a look now. If I take a look at open quotes, you'll actually see that quote sitting right here. Okay, and if we go back, I'm going to open up my email now in Outlook on my other monitor, and I'm just going to drag this little guy over here, and here's that quote that got received, quote number 6, which is the one that's here in the system, and the one that got sent out from Spencer. I can double click on it and open it in a PDF. And again, these can be customized too. Okay, but here's that quote, just kind of right out of the box. Obviously, the logo can change, and like I said, this can be customized as well. But you know what? I'm happy with the quote, so let's just simply reply and say go for it, but need 5 chairs. Whoops, got to spell that right too. Okay, and again, that email is getting sent back to Spencer, and we're just going to wait a minute for that email to sort of find its way through. Now again, if we come back here and go to Coho Winery, what you'll see as well is that quote is also here linked to that particular customer, right? So there's that quote number 6 that shows up there as well. Now, that quote came in, so here's the email that just came back to me, which is great. And now what you're going to notice is, okay, great, he wants 5 chairs. So down here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, pardon me, let's just click on some links here. I can go back and I can simply open that quote right here. Oops, sorry, that's my original email. Where's my link to the quote? Let's go back. I'm actually in the quote down here still. So what I want to do now is we're going to just simply take that quote and I'm going to make it into an order. And when I make it into an order, I'm actually going to change that 7 to the quantity that I requested, which is 5. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and we're going to change that to 5. Okay, and you know, maybe I'm a pretty thorough sales guy, so I just want to double check that inventory. You know what, we're still good here. I'm still good over here. Perfect. Okay, and so the customer's all set. I'm just simply going to now post this and send him an invoice. Okay, it's asked me what I want to do. Now, if I'm just a small business owner with maybe a tiny little warehouse, I'll ship and invoice this, or I can simply dispatch it now because the order's been saved in the system. I can give it to the warehouse guy and then ship it out when it's actually gone. So we're going to pretend I've just got a tiny little warehouse here, and I'm going to ship and invoice this guy in one step. So I'm just going to hit OK. And we'll give that a second. Okay, and a couple things are going to happen. So number one, it's going to decrement my inventory. It's going to go ahead and turn this thing into an invoice. And as well, it's going to email both an invoice and an order confirmation out to the customer. So we'll just give that a second here. It's working on it in the background. And meanwhile, I'm going to do other things if I want, which isn't much of an issue, but we'll just give that a second here. Come on, little guy. There we go. Okay, and now it resets back to that customer view. So here's that invoice, there's that shipment confirmation. Now I'm also sending this out, but keep in mind too, there's a PayPal link embedded within that email that if the customer wants to pay it right then and there, they can click right on PayPal. Now in real life, obviously you link a real PayPal account. This is just a demo, which is why it's telling me, hey, by the way, this really isn't possible, but it's embedding that link right in. And Dynamics 365 Financials links right back to PayPal. Now again, let's go back into the main system here real quick, and we'll just close this out. And we'll take a look back at our home. Okay, and I'm just waiting here in the real world. Here's that invoice that came through. Okay, and again, there's that PayPal link. Here's that invoice that came through. Okay, invoice 103,200. Here's the amounts with taxes, etc. And again, I could even click on the link here and pay it with PayPal. Okay, so now if we take a look at sales this month, I should see that little invoice sitting right here. And that's not it, sorry. Should have posted. It might just take a minute to get posted. Oh, I may not have put the actual date, but let's go back and take a look at this customer real quick. The date could be different from the current month in my system. It actually is. So let's just take a look at actual posted sales invoices rather than putting a date filter on it. And I should see that little guy somewhere in here. I don't recall what the invoice number was. Hang on one sec. 103,200 was the number. There she is, way up the top. Sorry about that. And there's that invoice right in the system. Okay. And again, I can send it back to the customer if they needed another confirmation or they lost the original paper invoice, etc. And you'll see the status of this little guy is that it's not been closed yet because it hasn't been paid, right? So that's really fundamentally just really from order to cash, not maybe the cash part, but at least being able to create a quote right from my email, to generate an order and even post the invoice, all done through my email. Now, whether you're going to do the invoicing and shipping part from your email, obviously is a question. Most people probably would do it within the full ERP system, but really wanted to provide you that visibility to how this works. If a customer emails you immediately, you can see what the receivables are, what they owe you, and you can even see here their balance due went up from that few $100s that we saw earlier because we just sent them an invoice. And quite frankly, I could have gotten to that same posted invoice right from over here. Okay, let me just dismiss this little guy. And that's really fundamentally the whole system, at least just a sort of a flavor of the system. But that's really what Microsoft has brought to bear, is that full integration of Office 365 and the financial system and CRM kind of into one big suite of products. So the financial system starts at $48.60 a month. There is a team member license, which you can see down here, really is to do requisitions and maybe only quotes, but also timesheets and answer workflows. But it also comes with, because a lot of small businesses have a bookkeeper that might want to access the system, it includes a bookkeeper license at no additional charge, and that is Canadian pricing. Now, what you're going to see over time is that this system is going to grow exponentially as Microsoft adds more features and functions. If you are also interested, there is what's called the App Source out there with Microsoft, and you can already see, including we will start to at some point put migration tools out there. There's an e-commerce solution, there's a PayPal solution, there is a sales and inventory forecast solution, and these literally just get added to your Dynamics 365 instance. So you're going to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these be developed by people all over the world so that you can add it to this system. So that's another way to extend the functionality of this system as well. Okay. So with that being said, I see we do have a question out there real quick. Let me just take a look at who is asking it. So Azim, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Sorry, I guess you've had a question for a while. I apologize for not seeing that before. Sorry.
No, not a problem. Thank you very much. I did join a bit late, but my question is that we have a business that is inventory based, and so first question is, does it Dynamics 365 has an inventory base in it? Second question is about the pricing. So we see that we have full user pricing. You're saying that you have the business plan 1 to 14 seats. It's $50 a business plan.
Yep.
Is that in addition to the per seat pricing, or is it per person?
No, it's just per person. So your license, they round it up to $50. It's technically $48.60 per person.
Okay, and what is a full user? Like, for example, the administrator would be a full user, but what about a person who's just a salesperson, who's doing the CRM activities, who's raising a sale order, and then doing the sale activities and CRM function? Is that a full user as well?
It would be a full user in CRM, which ironically is the same price, but it's not. They don't need to be a user in the financial system. They just need to be a user in the CRM system.
Okay, so now when we talk about $48 a user per month, so let's say if I have 10 users, then would that be $480 per month, or there is an additional on top of it licensing
Nope,
fee?
that's it. It'd be $486 a month.
And is there a scaled down version that is cheaper, or what is a team member that is $6 a month?
That just allows you to put in quotes and requisitions. So you can't process things to a sales order, but you can enter quotes and things like that. And that's the only scaled down version. This is about as scaled down as it goes from a accounting system perspective.
Okay, so $48, that's fine. So they cannot inventory management, sales and receivables. They cannot do purchase and payables. Okay.
So
now
here's the module slide you may have missed earlier. And I can send you this as well if you want to just send me a quick note with your email address. But there is an inventory module, and it works quite well. I didn't show it today too much, except to show that we had items and that the inventory was there. But let me just quickly, I can show you here real quick just what the inventory module, just at a glance. If I click on this item list, what you'll see are all the different items with pictures, and the fact that in this example, I've got 95 pieces left of that chair that we placed on that order.
All right, and this is I've been looking at different modules, and there is an AX module. There is 9GP. Is that 365? Is that a different item module, or is it closely resembling to one of the others?
No, there's 4 different systems, but what I would say is maybe if you and I get on a phone call sometime later today or tomorrow,
sure,
I can kind of brief you. We can go through your requirements specifically, and I'm happy to make a recommendation. And we've got demo logins and trials for pretty much every system, so happy to help you out there.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Azim. Anybody else out there with any questions? Like I said, for today, just kind of wanted to give you an intro of what the system had in it and give you a good overview for what its capabilities are. If you're looking for a replacement for QuickBooks, it's definitely got some horsepower, and in the spring, it's going to get even more. So I'd say stay tuned for functionality that Microsoft is adding to this system. And again, if any of you require or want a free trial, as I just mentioned to Azim, let me just fast forward here a little quick because I know we're running a couple minutes over and I want to wrap up.